Hi, I'm Nancy Rathbun from Completely Quilted in Ponca City. Thank you for purchasing our Festive Tulips block of the month. We're going to be making block 12 today, and I'd like to demonstrate how that's done. So again, with block number 12, we're still going to have some elements that are the same that we've been doing throughout. So we're still going to be making these flying geese units. You'll make a couple different ones here, some with different colors on each side. We're also making that same unit where we take two rectangles and we sew them together. And then what we'll do on top of that is we'll add a small square. So you'll get, and sewing that, so you'll get a unit that looks like this also. So pay attention to those because we've already sewn them in our instructions here in the video. You're also going to be cutting some of these larger squares into smaller units. I know, all these small pieces, so you think you're going to get a few big pieces in there, but they're just going to be cut up into smaller units for you. So those get cut with an X to make 4 triangles from each square. So there's all of our quarter square. Now these are going to get sewn together, so I just like to position mine how I'm going to sew them. So these background squares, they're just going to get sewn right back together. You should have 4 units that are going to get sewn together. So I just make little stacks of 4. Now these, my green and my background here are going to get sewn together. So I'll have a unit that looks like this. And we've sewn those pieces together before also. So I'm going to sew these together first, then these 2 background, and then I'll make those into a square. So I'm going to also sew some more of these half square triangles where we've marked and sewn 1/4 inch from each side and then cut on the line. So more half square triangles. So you should be really good at making half square triangles. Your 1/4 inch seam should be perfect. Now these little half square triangles, we're sort of going to make a little butterfly block like we've made before. And so one of these is going to be sewn to this darker purple piece. And then on the top, we're going to have another one sewn in a little butterfly block with a background square. So we're going to sew these units together also. Now I have just a background triangle, and then the one that's half green, half background. And I'll just press these seams opposite so that they nest nicely. All of those are on the bias, so be careful. Here's my piece sewn together. And now I need to sew a flying geese unit to the bottom. It's going to be the one that has the background fabric with the purple. And I'm going to sew that to the bottom of all these. So these are going to get set aside for another step. Now I'm ready to make my little butterfly block. So I'm going to stitch my half square triangle units to a background square, and the other one is going to get stitched to one of my little warm squares. And then they are going to get sewn together. There's that little block there, and you're going to make 4 of those. So these little butterfly blocks, these little flowers, they are going to have one of these half square triangle little flying geese units, the 2 colored ones, on the bottom of each. And so when we sew this, you want to orient that flying geese unit on top so that you're not going to be stitching and blunting that little point. We want to have nice little points. So here's one of those flower units with my flying geese unit sewn to the bottom, almost like little leaves for these pretty little flowers. Now we're going to sew that last unit that we did, the kind of crazy looking rectangle diagonal seam unit, and that's going to get sewn to each side of one of these, making a little tulip. So now I have my little finished tulip blocks here, and these little blocks here, and my center block. It's amazing how fast the blocks just decrease in size. So this is going to be your center. Okay, you're going to sew one of these in the middle with our little tulip blocks in the corners on each side. So I'll sew these rows together so you can see more clearly how this block will be sewn together. So there's my top row, my middle, and then my bottom row. And now I'm going to sew this together. I'm going to get a little star in the center and my tulips just pointing outwards. Hi, I'm Nancy Rathbun. You've just completed your block 12 of your Festive Tulips block of the month. Only one more to go. Tune in next time for block 13.